Hello everyone, you're welcome to Iron Port, your authoritative current affairs maritime television program that brings Ghana's ports and maritime industry closer to you. It is proudly brought to you by the Ghana Revenue Authority, GOIL PLC, Serene Insurance, Ghana Link, the Meridian Port Services, and Phoenix Insurance. Iron Port is powered by the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority, and our media partner is the Business and Financial Times. Viewers, if you've been following Iron Port in recent weeks, you'll find out that the subject of marine pollution, especially when it comes to plastics, has been a very prominent one in our news items. This week in our main discussion, we touched further on the subject of marine pollution and the impact of plastics on the marine environment. We attempted to diagnose the current challenges that exist, as well as proffer solutions and determine the right pathway that we have to follow to end the menace of plastic pollution in the marine environment. Here are highlights of that discussion. Take a listen.
What happens if we have foreign elements in the sea, we have life in the sea? I mean, if they detect that there's some infiltration of some foreign material or something, what happens to them?
The sea is a habitat for millions of organisms.
Absolutely.
These millions of organisms, when they see plastics, quite a number of them, especially the vertebrates, when they see plastics, the first thing they think of is food.
Yes.
Food. In fact, all of us, we need food to survive.
Yes.
Yeah. So they see it as food or as prey, and they go for it. And it might end up affecting, choking them, or even going into their stomachs and releasing some chemicals for them, etc. The long and short is that plastic pollution affects the processes in the ocean. The various processes, chemical processes, physical processes. Sometimes even plastics can accumulate at a point where it slows down waves and things, and is able to stop the movement of eggs from one place to the other. And it can even stop, we can have what we call cohort failure. It can even stop reproduction.
Absolutely.
Now, if you go to, when it rains and you see in Accra, for instance, the odor, we have done studies using satellite remote sensing, and we see when it rains, you see the plastic in chunks, large chunks, moving from the odor even into the Kole water. And we monitor it with satellite, and we see all this. So our activities on land, and especially coming from Circle, when it rains, the quantity. And if you go to Circle, you see the human population that passes through just that area in a day. And you can see the quantity that will come from central Accra, also going into the sea. And we see them through the drains, through to the Chemu, and going into the sea. This is the sort of findings we are making, and it's huge. We did some studies at the Tema Harbor, and we trawled within the harbor itself with permission. And we got huge sinks of plastic waste.
Right.
Although we found lots of fish there as well. There was lots of food, lots of sugar and rice that has fallen in there. And the fish were having a field day. But together, there was plastics.
Right.
And some of the fishes, when we opened their stomachs, there were plastics in their stomachs. They had chewed them. They could have grown bigger. And all our complaining of eating small fish would have been reduced. And then we saw practically how these plastics is affecting the growth of fishes.
I just wanted to give us a sense of what the situation is in terms of this particular phenomenon in our country. Is it that bad? Should we be worried?
If you are, let's say, drinking something or you are eating something and you are choked, you see how difficult it is for you to even breathe. You think that at that moment you will die. So that is what we are subjecting.
Suffocate,
subjecting the F to. If you look at the black polythene bag, the one that immediately you take it, you have to dispose it. Immediately you take it, and continually we are churning that. And if you go to our landfills, the landfills are easily filled up. The moment we have a landfill, it's filled within a short time. Why? Because the plastics that go in there, the volume, you see the plastic has so much volume to occupy when it goes to the landfill. And unfortunately, it does not decompose easily like other materials. A plastic bottle like this will take 450 years that's what study has shown,
Yes.
to decompose. There has been so much education. I happen to be on the technical committee on NADMO, man-made disasters, some years back. And about that, roughly will be 10, 11 years now. So we were looking at this plastic pollution as one of man-made disasters that we are creating in this country. And again, over there, the argument has been on this ignorance. And all the time we say we need to educate. So let's say 10 years from that time, can we still hold on to the ignorance argument? I see my colleagues, even before we started, my colleagues in the regions, the EPA staff, one of the critical things that they do, or the greater work, is education. So they go all the time using the radio, using information sectors, and they are always there educating the people,
Yes.
the assemblies, on the way to manage waste. And it has been ongoing. So, long and short, there has been so much education in this country. It is simply behavior.
Attitude.
Attitude. It is simply attitude. A lot of us have the knowledge. It is only that we are refusing to use it appropriately.
Absolutely.
Either through deliberate action or forgetfulness.
Right.
You see, one of the biggest challenge we have is how we tie even organic substance in the plastics. Like you said, plastic takes a long time to decompose. Now, I get my foodstuff, what I don't want, I gather all of them, put them in the plastic and tie them and put them in the waste bin. What it means is that the organic substances themselves do not even get the opportunity to decompose. Because they remain tied in the plastic, and then you dispose it, and then because you've not separated them, and they are in the plastic, they don't get the opportunity to decompose. And that's why the landfill will get filled much easier, because you have a lot of these tied waste in the plastic that may decompose should they be disposed separately from the plastic. And I think it is the more reason we probably may have to start thinking about waste segregation. It is sad that you go to well-established communities and we are still not practicing waste segregation. It is sad because if there is a waste contractor who comes to collect waste, what prevents us from having 3 bins? One for plastic, one for paper and other products, and then one for organic. Why can't we do it in TMA, in AMA, in KMA, at least we need to, why don't we pilot these in our basic schools, in the university? Why is it that I go for a workshop and then all of us are giving cups, when we could simply be giving glasses and then there will be a disposable, a dispenser out there that people could just fetch from the dispenser, so that we save ourselves the problem of having to bring 20 plastic bottles when we could just put glasses on each at the table, and anybody who needed water would just walk to a dispenser and fetch water and continue. So you see, it is not ignorance. It's also because we have not tuned ourselves to these things. Fishermen until recently were probably not sending water in plastic. They were sending water in gallons.
Yes.
And when I was young, we were fishing. We had the calabash. We actually were not using cup. We were using calabash. And so we were all fetching from the calabash. And so we didn't have problems having to dispose of plastic. But you know the challenge we've had with the quality of water that is coming out of our taps. Nobody now trusts the water from the tap. So everybody is basically turning towards what we in local parlance prefer as pure water. Not even bottle, the sachet one, which are single-use plastics. And so that has become necessity also for safety reason. Now, probably what we may have to do now is because we can't stop the fishermen from taking the water, because they can't take water dispensers to sea. So what we may have to do is to encourage them to bring back the plastic, and we should incentivize them to be able to bring as much plastic as they take back. So there may be a container probably provided for every fisherman or every canoe. So when you use the plastic, you just put them in the... Because fishermen themselves are worried. Issues of plastic can be legislated properly. But where should the policy to ban the use of single plastic? We need to take that bold step and ban it.
Right.
You see, because if you can't manage it, don't allow it into the system.
Absolutely.
And the amount of single plastic we are bringing in. When I was young, if they send you to the market, you have a basket.
Yeah.
You go, you buy all the things you want to buy them, and then bring the basket.
Yeah.
Today, you go to the market, you buy fish, they put it in one polythene. You buy groceries in another polythene. You buy cassava in a... So you come home and you have a lot of plastics.
Yeah.
Because they are single-use plastics, and sometimes they are not strong. So you finish, you take your things out, you tie them, or you put some of the other waste in there, you tie it, and then you dispose it. We are not able to manage. Can we just take the bull by the horn? Let's talk about, people say, oh, but employment. When we ban them, we will have alternatives. Because the amount of plastic that we are letting go into the ocean when you walk along our beaches is terrible. You have terrible sight of waste. Now, the other challenge, and I keep saying this thing, that I cannot comprehend why government projects will create drains and channel them into water bodies.
Right.
So the drain from my house goes into one water body.
Yeah.
And so all the waste, even the plastic by the roadside, will all get there. And they will end up along the estuaries and into the ocean. And you destroy...
Not only from homes, from industries and things.
Everywhere.
It's a cheap way. Everybody directs to water
and you
bodies.
see, we need
And that thing we should stop.
We need a policy to reverse...
Little or no treatment.
We need a policy to reverse that.
So viewers, as we've been told, the subject of marine pollution and fighting it has become a very urgent subject, and we need to take urgent action to address this particular menace. And we are calling on everyone to play their part to end plastic pollution in the marine environment. Now let us pick a few comments on the subject we have just discussed after we go on break, and then we'll be back with more news. Stay tuned. This one comes from Kweku Boche in Tema. He says, I think waste segregation is seen as the rich man's practice. We may have to not only educate, but support that with the provision of infrastructure. The states should sacrifice and spend money on waste segregation bins and distribute them in the community. My name is Kofi Kwashiga. I am all for the ban on single-use plastics. We are truly suffocating the earth with plastics. It's not just about the future generation, but even we, the current generation, is at risk. Hello, Iron Port. Very critical discussion there. Kudos. I would like to know from government's perspective what plan it has for national waste segregation. Perhaps the EP official can help. My name is Benis from Accra Central. Hi, Benis. The Director of Petroleum at the Environmental Protection Agency says the EPA launched the National Waste Segregation Program in 2013 and has done educational programs on it throughout the month it was launched. He says a number of organizations have bought into the idea and are segregating their waste. But the challenge is that the waste collectors mix the waste again when they are taking it from the producers.
XP RON 95 is designed to burn slowly and thus improves fuel economy, making you save money after several kilometers. Gold Super XP RON 95 gives you a smooth driving experience, that is, less vibrations. Fill up with Gold Super XP RON 95. Now there's no need to pay more for any higher grade fuel. GOIL has that sorted. GOIL, good energy.
Electricity, then pay your taxes. Yeah. Our taxes, our future.
Because you see, without our taxes, we wouldn't have good roads, good schools, better hospitals, street lights, and other very important social amenities. When we pay our taxes, we give our children free and quality education. Tell God, my money too small. Why should I pay my tax? Look, small. Salifu, it doesn't matter how small or big your business or income is, you still have to pay your taxes. The little taxes from each and every one of us, when put together, could give your community clean water or that deprived school with tables and chairs. Please pay your taxes. It is your responsibility. It is your civic duty. It is the law.
Impressive factory. If only I had listened to you, I wouldn't have been in this mess. That devastating fire virtually wiped out the whole factory and my warehouse.
Remember my misfortunes last year? Serene Insurance Asset All Risk Fire policy that I took were there to pay for my damaged stocks in the warehouse, and my machines that were affected by the floods have been replaced. My accident vehicle is back on the road thanks to Serene Insurance Motor Policy. Currently, my goods are on the IC covered with their marine cargo insurance policy. I was just telling Ajima about Serene Insurance.
Oh, Ajima,
tell him more.
As a road contractor, I make sure I do my contractors all risk insurance for the projects and then workers' compensation for all the workers on site. With Serene Insurance, they will make sure they will cover your unknown tomorrow today.
Serene Insurance, a new face of insurance. Call us now.
MPS Terminal 3 is Africa's new state-of-the-art container terminal at Tema Port. For manufacturers, agro-processors and traders, the new port means business can be done faster. This infrastructure boost will improve Ghana's port handling capacity, connect more trading routes, and oil the engine of growth for the economy, creating greater opportunities across all sectors as Africa's markets merge and become the largest trading bloc globally. MPS, we connect, you thrive.
Business and life can be like the sea sometimes. Sometimes serene, sometimes calm, sometimes turbulent, and at times it brings the unexpected. However it is like, trust Phoenix Insurance for your home, car, business, and marine insurance needs. Call 0302 246 319 or 0243 690 492.
At Phoenix, you experience a delightful service delivered with wisdom.
Welcome back from the break. Now let us pick a few stories from our local port and maritime sector. Stakeholders in Ghana's maritime sector last Friday joined the rest of the world to demonstrate a renewed commitment to the fight against maritime pollution ahead of the Day of the Seafarer, which falls on June 25 each year. This year's Day of the Seafarer coincides with the 50th anniversary of the International Convention for the Prevention of Pollution from Ships, also known as MAPO, which was initiated in 1973. At a forum hosted by the Ghana Maritime Authority in collaboration with the Regional Maritime University, the various participants, including seafarers, students, lecturers, maritime administrators, among others, discussed the contributions of seafarers to the safety of shipping and prevention of marine pollution and the challenges encountered. The Director General of the Ghana Maritime Authority, Thomas Kofi Alonsi, assured of his outfit's commitment to the fair treatment of seafarers.
The welfare of seafarers has always been a concern, and as such, the authority is making efforts to ensure that the embarkation and disembarkation of seafarers are registered at our offices by seafarer recruitment and placement agencies for safety and security reasons. A tripartite committee has also been commissioned to report on fisher-related issues, particularly with regards to conditions on board vessels, and to streamline work agreements for shippers.
Regional Coordinator for the International Maritime Organization, Captain Dallas Laye, on behalf of the Secretary General, Kita Klim, encouraged seafarers to use their platforms to promote the sustainable protection of the ocean.
We invite you to share on social media what you see when you are at sea. Show us the equipment you use to protect the environment, the special training you received. Tell us how you protect our ocean and planet. Because when it comes to the implementation of all the IMO international treaties, majority are done by seafarers.
The acting Vice Chancellor of the Regional Maritime University, Dr. Jethro Brooks Jr., called on government and industry to collaborate towards linking graduates to suitable careers.
I would like to commend the Ghana Maritime Authority for initiating processes for the ratification of the International Labour Organization Seafarers Identity Documents Convention, revised 2003 as amended number 185. As a maritime training institution, concerned with the quick employment of our graduates upon completion of their various courses, the Regional Maritime University is of the candid opinion that the earlier the ratification of this convention is done, the better it will be for our seafarers.
Minister for Transport, Kwekwo Foroyesiama, in a speech read on his behalf by the Chief Director of the Ministry, Mabel Sego, touched on the socio-economic benefits the new cabotage law passed will bring to Ghana.
Ghana has passed into law the Ghana Shipping Cabotage Regulation 2021, LI 2438, which reserves 50% of all officer and 75% of all rating positions aboard vessels operating solely within Ghana's maritime jurisdiction for Ghanaian seafarers. This initiative will not only strengthen our national economy, but also generate employment prospects for our citizens and build local capacity.
Students of the Regional Maritime University are calling on government, NGOs, and agencies within the maritime sector of Ghana to partner the school in key engineering projects that will provide sustainable solutions for societal problems. The students of the Marine Engineering Department, as part of their final year projects, have come up with samples of wind turbines, solar-powered fishing boats, fiberglass canoes, among other innovations in light of global safety and decarbonization needs. They exhibited these works at the celebration of the Day of the Seafarer at the school.
It's a wind turbine. So we are trying as possible to reduce the emission that is happening in our world. So we have designed a wind turbine that can help us generate electricity for for various houses and the industry. We also have solar fishing boats. Why solar? We are trying to incorporate renewable energy into our system so that we reduce the emissions that we find in our environment. So we will like all the trawler vessels and all the fishing vessels that we have around to come around and then partner with us. We can reduce emissions.
The students of the Maritime Education and Training Institute are appealing for funding, capacity building, among other things, to scale up these innovative works for the development of the sector. George Obeng is a graduate assistant at the Regional Maritime University.
Canoes had these ones on their boats to be able to, serve as a safety means for survival. So there's a lifeboat. We have come up with an idea that, okay, when the boat capsizes, you can just pick this thing up and it will be floating. This is also a remote skimmer. What it does is that whenever there is a spillage, we have sensors here that will detect the oil and then drain the oil or separate the oil from the water through our pipelines into a container, then we discharge them.
The fight against the perennial plastic pollution in Ghana's marine environment is on, with the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority resolved to leave its mark. As part of recent efforts, officials of GPHA on World Environment Day met with the fishing community at the ABS Fishing Harbour in Sekondi to sensitize them on the dangers of plastic pollution in the marine environment. They did this in collaboration with the Environmental Protection Agency.
So the key thing is that we must be responsible when it comes to the disposal of plastics. We can also promote the use of alternatives like paper in order to avoid the use of plastic, which will generate more plastic within our system. We are also promoting that the port, together with the fishing communities, are able to segregate their waste streams, particularly plastic. And there are companies within the Western region that can purchase the plastics and recycle these plastics into forms and other use to reduce the plastic that we may have within our country or within the Western region.
There's been cases where fishermen go to fish, and all that they get is plastics and waste. But it is a human problem that can be managed. So we are looking at creating a kind of awareness to see how we can contribute in managing that situation. That's the reason why we chose the fishing harbor this day to celebrate the World Environment Day.
Or bottle my yakotas no woman and rubber yakwa the paper bag of boko. No more rubber yan to 2 gubi arabiara, nay and there, year to a gua, near to a good work, no more. Would do not check the yerba young man no ban, yerba and assassin no ban, the yerba after humanos no ban.
A one-day training and capacity building workshop on ocean governance has been organized for maritime law enforcement agencies in Ghana as part of the project deliverables under the One Ocean Hub project. The project is being implemented by the University of Strathclyde Centre for Environmental Law and Governance in the United Kingdom in collaboration with the University of Cape Coast. The project aims to support vulnerable groups in Africa and small island developing states who, according to UN sources, face the greatest challenges to prevent and mitigate negative development impacts connected to the ocean, as well as predict the socio-economic benefits of ocean conservation. The team lead at SEMLOS Africa, Dr. Kamal Din Ali, provided an overview of the maritime space vis-à-vis the law of the sea.
The convention regulates our contemporary maritime space, and it also forms the basis for other international instruments. They can be fisheries instruments, they can relate to migration within the sea, they may relate to how to interdict narcotics at sea, they may relate to marine conservation and biodiversity. Even it may be something that has to do with marine pollution and shipping. The Constitution provides a framework for other international instruments.
Head of Department Geography and Regional Planning at the University of Cape Coast, Professor Benjamin Kofi Nyakon, said the training is to ensure good health of the ocean.
With this project, we have some priorities. That's how to restore the small pelagic, to look at alternative livelihoods for the fisher folk so that they may not rely much more on the fish stock, to also come out with decision support system to help in the ocean governance.
He entreated maritime law enforcement agencies to ensure that industrial trawlers don't ply their activities within the exclusive economic zones, which will affect fishermen.
We are saying that we have an exclusive zone where the artisanal fisheries need to be, instead of the industrial trawlers encroaching within this exclusive zone. So the rule is to enforce, to understand that if the trawlers come into the exclusive zone, then it may affect the livelihoods of the artisanal fishers. So their role is to understand that if they don't enforce the rules, then our fisher folks will not have any means to live on.
The Tema section of the Women in Logistics and Transport, WiLAT, has been launched to help mobilize the active participation of women and empower them to lead in an industry considered to be male-dominated. WiLAT is the female wing of the Chartered Institute of Logistics and Transport, CILT, with over 3,500 members in 38 countries worldwide, including Ghana. The official launch was also used to address the development of maritime logistics infrastructure for a successful implementation of AfCFTA. Mabel Kabute is the acting chairperson of WiLAT Ghana.
The launch of this event seeks to encourage, provide more women with opportunities such as training and professional networking, both local and international.
Speaking on behalf of the director of Tema Port, Sandra Opoku, Marketing and Public Affairs Manager Abna Sewa Opoku Fosu said, the launch of the Tema section of WiLAT is laudable, as Tema is seen as the fulcrum of logistics, supply chain, and transport activities.
Women rising to become leaders in this industry is essential to inspire future generations and to show that nothing is off limits.
Member of Parliament for Tema West, Carlos Ahenkra, revealed that some significant progress has been made with a push for the protocol for women and youth under AfCFTA.
The policy document has been developed, but the protocols are yet to be discussed. And once the protocols are discussed, women and youth are going to have serious support for cross-border trade, especially. And also, there's going to be an enhanced reduction in the cost of doing business for women.
In a related development, the Ghana wing of the Women in Shipping and Trading Association has organized an educational forum in Accra for women entrepreneurs on the Africa Continental Free Trade Area. They did this in collaboration with the United States Agency for International Development, among other partners. In addition to helping the women understand the free trade agreement, its benefits and requirements, the forum also served as an opportunity for these entrepreneurs to showcase their products and be introduced to newer markets and WISTA's wide network pool. Jamilat Mahama is the secretary of WISTA International and former president of WISTA Ghana.
So through our colleagues, other national associations, these women will be given the platform, the leverage to also market their products. And with such seminars, they will be given, they would have ideas. Women who are not even into business, after this program and more yet to come, will definitely come up with ideas.
Now let us turn our attention to the global stage and pick a few international, port, maritime and shipping related news. UAE-based ports and logistics giant DP World is ramping up its adoption of renewable energy at the Port of Santos, Brazil's top multi-purpose private terminal. This initiative is part of DP World's global strategy to achieve carbon neutrality by 2040. The initial phase focuses on replacing diesel fuel with electric power for the Santos terminal's rubber-tied gantry container handling cranes. A total of 22 diesel-fueled units will be electrified by the end of next year, with an investment of over 80 million Brazilian reais, equivalent to $16.2 million. The first RTG machine in the fleet already operates on 100% electric power, and by the end of 2023, another 4 machines are set to be converted. By implementing an overhead cable system akin to electric buses, the electrification process significantly decreases the terminal's diesel consumption by up to 60%. The UN's 193 member states adopted a legally binding marine biodiversity agreement on Monday, following nearly 2 decades of negotiations over forging a common wave of conservation and sustainability in the high seas beyond national boundaries, covering 2/3 of the planet's oceans. It forms the substance of an international legally binding instrument under the United Nations Convention under the Law of the Sea on the conservation and sustainable use of marine biological diversity of areas beyond national jurisdiction. The deal contains 75 articles that aim at protecting, caring for, and ensuring the responsible use of the marine environment, maintaining the integrity of ocean ecosystems, and conserving the inherent value of marine biological diversity. Now for our Word of the Day segment, where we introduce words, phrases, jargons, terminologies that we often use in this industry so you can get familiar with them. We'll tell you what the contraband is.
Contraband. A contraband is any cargo that is prohibited.
Let us now look at the schedule of vessels that have berth in the ports of Tema and Takoradi and at the anchorages of both ports, as well as those expected in the coming weeks, plus the Bank of Ghana exchange rates, which you may need to know to clear your cargo with. This is where we close today's edition of Iron Pot. We hope you've been informed and educated. Remember, all Iron Pot content can be found on our YouTube channel, Iron Pot. Subscribe, like, and give us feedback. Thank you for watching.